Go ahead.
All right, so hi everybody, thank you for coming. This is an RI info session for the 2020-2021 school year. My name is Jessie Rosano. I'm one of the hall directors here. Right now I currently supervise Thatcher Hall. A hall director is the direct supervisor of RAs on campus.
And I'm Corey Locker. I'm the hall director for Shaw Hall and Miller Hall. Excited to see you all come out. And we're going to have some wonderful RAs introduce themselves, and they're going to help answer some questions as well as us. Anything you're thinking about, questions about pay, about things you can do as an RA, anything, go ahead and ask them. So, introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Danielle Stevenson. I'm a resident assistant here in Potomac Place. I'm on the second floor. I'm a senior political science major from Charlestown, West Virginia, and this is my first year being an RA.
I'm Toby. I'm a first floor resident assistant at the Prince Apartments. I am a sophomore. My major is sociology with a concentration in criminal justice. Hoping to go to law school one day.
I'm Lulu. I'm a first year RA up on the 5th floor. I'm a sophomore. Stop laughing at me. Political science major, business administration minor. I want to do corporate law, so yeah.
So I guess our first question to get the room warm is, why did each of you, in a quick sentence, choose or want to be an RA?
Okay, so I wanted to be an RA because a lot of my friends have been or are RAs, and they were always there for me. They had a very welcoming presence. Anytime I was out and about in my residence hall, I saw them. They made themselves very visible. And to know that I had somebody that was around me that wanted to make my time living in the residence hall meaningful and welcoming was really important to me, and I wanted to do that for other people too.
So I'm a non-traditional student. So when I came to Shepherd last year, I really had no idea what I was getting into and what the community was going to be like. And thanks to RAs who really made themselves present and really sort of invested themselves in getting to know me, I was able to quickly acclimate to the community, and I sort of wanted to give that same sense of community, that same sense of welcome to new students and to students that are already here at Shepherd.
So I wanted to be an RA because I just wanted to build more friendships on campus. And I know as an RA you get to work with a bunch of residents and you can make friends with them, you can make friends with your fellow staff. It looks good on a resume. It gives you a lot of skills that you need in life, like gets you working with people, doing paperwork, having responsibilities like doing mail, and it's just a really good way to learn how to manage your time as well. So.
All right. Now, if anyone else has any questions that on the top of their head they want to ask our staff here.
Do you guys get pocket money?
No. It is not like getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. We are awarded like a scholarship or a room waiver for wherever we are living, whichever residence hall, and then we are also awarded a meal plan through Residence Life for our work in our residence halls. Being an RA essentially is a job. It's not really an extracurricular, while it can count as one. The facets of it really do, as Lulu said, correlate to job experience, and that's probably one of the best benefits of the job.
And even though you don't necessarily get like a paycheck, the amount of money that you save, having a room paid for, having a meal plan paid for, is really beneficial. It's actually a huge part of, I don't want to say, it's not the only reason, but a huge part of why I took the job as an RA, because it would actually make coming to school a lot more affordable.
Also, you get to pick what meal plan you want, so if you pick a cheaper meal plan, that opens up more money that would free up to go towards whether it be tuition or whatever you need it for your room. Like say you wanted to live here, it's more expensive, or the apartments is more expensive. So having a cheaper meal plan would free up more money to go towards your housing.
How is the workload? How do you guys figure out how many hours you gotta do each day?
So
okay.
So it really varies per building, whether you have a bigger staff or like you have like more residents. So here it's a big building, so you have more residents. So say if you're making like door decorations or your bulletin boards, like we have like closer to 40 residents each here in Potomac. So making door decks definitely takes more time. So you have to make 2 door decks per semester and 2 bulletin boards per semester. So that really doesn't take up much time. And as far as like duty nights go, if you have a bigger staff, then you have less duty nights. So here in Potomac, like we have 1 week. So I'm a Thursday night duty, and you're what? Wednesday. So basically, you pick the phone up at like 8 a.m. or you pick the phone up at 4:30 p.m. So tomorrow I'll pick the phone up at 4:30, and then you hold it through the night and drop it off in the morning at 8 a.m. So basically, you're really holding like the phone and dealing with residents, like whether like dealing with calls overnight, like just 1 night a week, unless you're on like weekend duty. So as far as the workload goes, if you're good at managing your time and getting your priorities straight, it definitely is more than being just like just having regular classes. It's definitely another responsibility, but it's completely manageable. So
I'm in 5 or 6 different organizations, plus I have 2 on-campus jobs, and I make it work. It's really not that bad. I know that people probably have heard their fair share of like RA horror stories about like being up all night or things like that. It just depends on the school or university that you go to. But personally, like I've never had an experience like that where I just didn't get any sleep or didn't have any time for my classes.
Yeah, and to expand upon that a little bit, I think that workload, so to speak, also kind of differs in between buildings. So like for example, I'm in the apartments and all of our residents have 12-month leases, so we never close. So like during Christmas break, Potomac Place is closed, but the apartments are still open. So we have to, be available to residents during that break time. Like to give you an example of something that kind of like pops up as part of the RA role. The first day of break, we had some issues with some residents' cards not working. And you have to be available to figure out, okay, is it the machine? Is there something wrong with the card? And then you have to sort of like call to say, hey, this person's card's not working, like what do we do? The point that I'm kind of getting at is that some of it is really just as straightforward as picking up the phone and doing some rounds and doing mail, and then sometimes you're receiving sporadic calls that you kind of just have to be there to be supportive, because ultimately it's those small things that really show people that you care and that really kind of make them want to stay on campus.
Do you all have your own rooms, and how does that work as far as like suite mates? Like if you were like an RA in this building.
So we all, as an RA, no matter what building you're in, you are automatically promised and given a single room, because we do deal with residents that may have come to us and need to be talked to, so we need that private space, or whether it's us taking a call, like we need just the private space, so we're given that. So say you were in this building in particular, we are given a single, and then you can either, it just works out just like a regular suite mate. You can decide, put on your housing that you want a specific roommate, or you just get assigned one. So as far as suite mate goes, that's all the same. Like in the suites though, and in Shaw and Thatcher, I'm not sure if the apartments are the same, but in your room, you're given a single, which automatically comes with 2 beds. So at that point, you can either decide to keep both beds and push them together, or you have the option to get rid of the other bed if you really want to. So, but in Potomac, we are given a single.
As far as breaks go, like I know like Christmas or winter break is 4 weeks. So do you guys like split that up? Like you have one RA that's here for 2 weeks, or one RA here for a whole month? Like how does that work?
So you mean like specifically for the apartments?
Yeah, specifically.
So the way that duty works for the apartments over breaks, it's the exact same as it is during the academic year, except for, say, if an RA says, hey, I'm going to be with my family all break, like, that's totally fine. It is optional, but there has to be at least 2 other RAs that are there. So, for example, this break we had 4 RAs that were on duty, and it was basically like, you know, who wants this day, who wants this day, who wants this day, and it just kind of, you know, we work together to sort of figure that out. It's not like one person takes one week and another person takes another. It's just kind of, you figure out what works amongst your staff and you go from there.
Okay, I will step in for that. Break duty, the only staff that's a standard for is the apartments. For the other staffs, we do hire break RAs because we do have athletes specifically over winter break that do come for portions of break. So that's another hiring option. If you're an RA, you can be selected or offer to stay over break, and that does come with pay.
Okay. So you're compensated for that, and it's really, I've never done it, but as far as I've heard, it's very easy money because you are not dealing with many people, so it's not like you're going to get constant calls, so it's a good way to make money while staying on campus, which you are given a check for that. But like breaks, like winter break, we have to stay a little later. It's only like a day or 2 just to get the building shut down and ready for the closing, and then we do have to come back fairly early just to reopen the building and make sure that everything is ready. Like summer, we come in a week early for training, but yeah, but it's not like a closing. It's not like we're staying here for like a week afterwards.
Okay.
It's only a couple days.
So, if, like, for freshmen, we weren't able to be RAs, right? So, say we live here, like, I live in Potomac. When we apply, like, did you guys choose to be here, or wherever you guys are, or were you placed in certain places and it wasn't your choice?
So in the interview process for new RAs, you have the opportunity to kind of rank the community that you prefer to live in. But ultimately, based on your interview and like the group interview days, the residents, like professional staff, will observe you and take into consideration your strengths and your weaknesses, and they will ultimately place you in the community that they feel that you're best fit for.
Okay.
Lulu, as far as athletics go, how did you deal with that? Because I know like coaches and like you'd have to communicate.
Right. Yeah. So athletics on top of being an RA is definitely a bigger responsibility. But Res Life is really, really, really good. Like, I really emphasize that they are so good working with your schedule. Like, working with like training, we have to come in early for preseason, but we also have to come in early for training, which clashes definitely. The schedules clash with one another, but there's days that you have to, there's certain sessions within training that you have to be at and are mandatory, and you have to work that out with coach. But they're so good about working with your schedule, understanding that you are here to play sports for the school. So they're really, really awesome about working with your schedule. I really had no conflicts at all.
Okay.
And to add on that too a little bit, like not with sports, but just in general, Res Life is a really good support system. I mean, all the hall directors are pretty much there, like anytime that you need them. Residents, like professional staff, are almost always in their offices if you need something. And while, you know, the RA position is a job, and while it is important that you give that some precedence, you know, if you're going through a hard time, if you're struggling with academics, if you're struggling with a personal issue, like, you can really talk to Res Life, and they'll do the best that they can to sort of not only support you in whatever adversity is that you're facing, but also sort of working around how that may affect, you know, maybe you need one of your duty days off, or maybe something comes up and all of a sudden you can't do your duty weekend. Like, if you explain that to Res Life and are willing to work with them, they're just as willing to work with you to sort of make those things work out so that everybody is happy with the outcome. So they're just a really great support system.
take yourself and put yourself in this place where you know that you're going to be living in a community where you have friends, and a lot of times it's hard to differentiate yourself between RA Danielle and friend Danielle. Because, you know, everybody wants to, you know, be, you know, your best friend, and they want to say, hey, can you just do this one thing for me? But, you know, we do have guidelines, we have protocols that we have to follow, because we do have and handle private information.
Right.
And it's just the nature of the job. So I think for me that's been the hardest thing, especially because I never want to come off as, you know, being rude or, you know, cold to somebody just because, you know, I'm in this position, like, no, sorry, I can't do that, but I still want to be your friend. You know, it's hard to do. You really have to, you know, put yourself in that place where, you know, you kind of split that time, and people just understand that, you know, you took on this role and you love this role, so they support you in that. But I think that that's also one of the most rewarding things, is that you get to be there for your close friends, and you make new friends. I mean, I didn't know you when I moved in here, but now I do, and I consider you a friend. And seeing, you know, I have residents here in my hall that want to be in RA, so clearly, you know, I'm being effective in my job and making people want to, you know, experience this as well.
So for me, I think the hardest part about the job is having to deal with anytime an emergency issue comes up, simply because that's really stressful. And, you know, as an RA, you know, you want to respond to that situation, whether it be something with the building or something with a resident. You know, you really want to respond to that as quick as you can and sort of make things right. But sometimes as an RA, there's only so much that you can do. And not only is that stressful, but if you've got something else sort of going on in your personal life, and then you have to deal with a professional emergency, that just kind of like can really add on to your stress level, you know, in total. But once again, that's why I said that Res Life is such a great support system. And I think that Res Life in general has been one of the most rewarding aspects of it, because, you know, when I first came to Shepherd, like, I thought I was just gonna do my academics, get my degree, and leave. And being involved in being an RA has like really not only forced me to, I don't want to say forced, but encouraged me to continue to stay involved. But it's also encouraged me to get to know people that otherwise I may not have. You know, it's sort of encouraged me to like get out of my comfort zone when it comes to you know, people that I would normally consider, you know, part of my social group, if you will. You know, for example, I'm not a real athletic person, but several apartments on my floor are athletes, and they've now become some of the residents that I know the best just because I see them so often. And you know, they ask me how I'm doing, I ask how they're doing, and it's just really nice to sort of have that opportunity to get to know other people that you wouldn't have otherwise.
I think Toby hit on like a lot of good points. Like, it's kind of, I'm trying to be different and think of something like difficult, but like being like thrown right in, I guess. Like after training, it's like training, you get trained on literally everything you can possibly think of. So then it's like being thrown in, it's like your first week, it's terrifying. It's like you have that phone and you hear that disgusting alarm go off on it. And we're like, oh my god, like, here we go, like, let me answer it. And so, like, it's either like a lockout, which is easy, or you have to deal with serious situations. And you have to put your serious face on, and you really have to be there for a resident. And it's really hard sometimes to put your personal feelings aside and be there for a resident that really needs you. So that is really difficult, dealing with those hard situations. Like dealing with residents who might not be mentally stable is really hard, and dealing with the residents who may be going through a crisis at that time. It's really, really difficult, but it really does pay off in the end in teaching you a lot, and then that makes you comfortable. Then you have the phone and you hear the horrible alarm go off and you're like, all right, I am ready for this. And I think the best thing ever, like, it forces you to be an extrovert. Like, you have to be an extrovert. Like, there is no, okay, like, let me go sit at the desk and put my headphones in and not talk to anybody, and if someone comes down for mail, I'm just gonna ignore them. Like, you have to be an extrovert. So that's good. It forces you out of your, like, comfort zone. and you make like the best friends ever. Like I love my staff to death. I like do not like really socialize well before, but like I love my staff to death. Like they are my best friends, and so like it's really great. And then you get to meet your residents, and they either become your friends or they become the people down the hall from you that never come out of their room and talk to you. It's one or the other. So, but you make great friends that will be lifelong friendships. So, yeah.
So you mentioned the disgusting alarm, as you called it.
Yes.
How does that work when you're like on duty during the evening? So, from what I understand, you get the duty phone like in the evening, and then you have it until the morning. So, do you just not sleep that night, or how does that work?
You get to sleep. It's a full
Okay.
job. You get to sleep on the job. You know?
Okay.
You do get to go to bed, but you cannot turn the sound off.
Okay.
You can't like don't like think about like turning it down. Don't do it. 'Cause
So
you'll miss it.
so if you're asleep and the phone rings and you don't
Yep.
hear
You
it,
just you don't know. You'll hear good dreams.
Turn it.
You
You
are
are.
up.
Like it'll wake you up.
I
Don't
think,
worry.
yeah.
That's why we have that sound, because it's literally an alarm. It alarms
You heard it. Like, you guys heard it. So it's like, it really, like, that's probably one of the worst things. Like, I know you guys are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be asleep, and this stupid phone is gonna go off in the middle of the night, and I'm gonna have to wake up and go deal with a resident, like, with my, like, bed breath, like, my early morning breath, like,
Listen.
no clothes. It went off in the middle of the shower.
Yup.
You gotta get up, get out of the shower,
And it's
answer
okay
it.
to wear your robe around
Yeah.
the, you know, just put on what you got, you know. But you're given some grace. You don't have to, you know, be up and out of your bed in 5 seconds and go to that resident. Like, get yourself together, get yourself in a mental state where you can comprehend things at 3 a.m. if you need to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, go on with your duty night. But a tip that I have, if you all are selected as RAs, if it's a lockout, we have lockout forms down in every RA office. Keep some of those by your desk and a pen. That way you're just ready to grab it and go. If it's a crisis situation, like I said, just get yourself in a mental state where you're ready to, you know, deal with the situation and then be on your way. We're not, you know, you're never asked to just jump up and run out your door with, you know, one sock on and, you know, have a
Unless
sleep.
you want to.
Yeah, unless you really
Perfectly
want to.
fine too.
But yeah, you do get to sleep. Yeah, res life is good about respecting your time, respecting personal boundaries. So like, we are not, you don't have to, you know, go to your 8 a.m., you know, with bloodshot eyes.
And
You
your
know.
supervisors have a phone too, so we
Yeah.
also get called at 3 a.m.
yeah.
So
Yes, they do.
there's a level of camaraderie going on. And I've answered in fuzzy pajamas, and like I ran a brush through my hair, but I've gone out with wet hair too. It just happens, but
get cold in the shower.
it's not like you're getting. I don't want to curse anybody, but it's very rare that you're getting a call back to back all night long. There might be a section of time that you get like 5 calls and they're all lockouts, because that's normally what they are. But it's very, and if something happens where you are up from like 3 in the morning until 8 a.m. when you're supposed to hand the phone over, like we'll work with you to make sure that you get some sleep after that. Like if you say we needed to write a report up about that situation that took 4 hours, well, normally that'd be due to us by like 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, now you have a reprieve because we want you to go and get some sleep before your 11 o'clock class. Like, so we, again, support is a huge part of our
Yeah, and in bigger staffs like Potomac, where we have 8 people, a lot of us have secondaries during the week as well, not just for weekend duty. So if you need your secondary, like that's why they're there. They're also mandated to be in the building for a certain amount of time. So if you just need to go to sleep, like you can ask your secondary to help you out too.
Okay. I think it's also important to like reiterate to the resident that like it is 3 a.m. and like they do have the they are responsible for having their key on them, and that it's not really like cool to like if it's a lockout to like be up, like, you know. But I mean that's only if like it's a multiple, like, because you'll get residents that are like regulars. So it's like, oh, here's this number calling again. I know it. It's like, so I think just reiterating the fact that if it does become a pattern, just like breaking that pattern, like letting them know that like you got to keep your Rambler on you, because in real life, if you're locked out of your like apartment or something, then you're climbing under the crack of the door. But no, you're never up all night. It's really it's fine. Like you'll get occasional calls, like weekends. You know, you have like people coming in from like parties and they lock themselves out. So it's like just more common on weekends that like you're gonna get more calls regularly. So just knowing that and working with it, like that's all though. But
Duty really varies. So yes, you will get those 3 a.m. calls. Yes, you will have some wild incidents or critical incidents that you need to, be serious. But it's not like RAs. You can test this. That's not like the norm. It's not like every duty night you're gonna get like 3 people who are like losing their mind in the lobby. Like that doesn't typically happen. You will get those like serious incidents, but it's really not as frequent as some may think. Truthfully,
As the movies make it look like.
yeah. Also taking into account that like different buildings have different ages. So like the apartments, there are no like
No
freshmen. So there's like a sense of like responsibility as well. So dealing with like a building that has more freshmen, like there is going to be people that like there are definitely going to be more lockouts because people are like getting into that flow of things, getting into that flow of like being home or being away from home, having the key in all the time. So like just like thinking about that and like just being prepared that there are going to be lockouts, like so.
But those residents will appreciate you helping them.
Yeah.
Nonetheless. So.
Yeah.
And to kind of go off of what Lulu said about different buildings with different things, one of the key aspects of being an RA is programming, which is essentially when you hold events to sort of bring your community together. Because each building is laid out differently and each building has different residents, your programming needs change a little bit. Like, so for example, if I was here at Potomac Place, like I might hold a cooking demo because there's a lot of college freshmen and you guys and there's the community kitchen, so it would be like cool to teach them how to do that. Whereas like at the apartments, like people already have their own individual kitchens, they're not interested in learning how to cook. But they might be interested in like, hey, how do I do my taxes because I need to file taxes. So those things change as well.
Yeah. Building up the events and as well as like getting materials for door decks and bulletin boards, do you get a budget for that or is that
Yeah, every residence hall is allotted a budget, and within that budget, it's broken down. So you're never expected to go out and buy things out of pocket for your programs. You can if you certainly want to, but that's another great thing about Residence Life. They give you literally every resource that you need to be the best RA that you can be.
Door decks, like there's a room over there in Miller, the spooky hole up there on the hill. There's a room in there that has like every color paper that you could possibly imagine, and a laminator and staples and tape and literally every like crafting thing that you could possibly think of. So I know coming in, like I was like, all right, I'm gonna bring my own stickers because I'm gonna have this budget and I'm not trying to like waste it on paper and stickers. But they give that stuff to you. You don't have to buy that. So.
And you have 24-hour access to that room. So like, say like it's like you can't sleep at night and like you've got door decks. Yeah, I'm just saying, I've done it.
Yeah, there's
I've
spooky
done it.
Miller at like 3 a.m.
Well, you live there.
I live there. Yeah, it's not that
Well,
bad.
like,
Miller's
like,
great.
So you've got to do, and you've got door decks due in 3 days. Like, you've got 24-hour access. Like, you get your door decks done. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
What happens if you as an RA get locked out of your room?
It's really embarrassing.
How did you
Wait, can I?
Wait,
can we have-
wait. I have the best lockout story. My third day, no, it was my second day here. I was in RA training. So, I was an RA in Shaw, and it was my very first time being an RA, and no one was on campus, so the duty phone wasn't on. And so, I went downstairs, because I was on the 3rd floor Shaw. It was 3 a.m., and I forgot my Rambler. So I went downstairs, And then I propped the door open, knocked on the window, the RA on the first floor. She called the Shepherdstown non-emergency number, but I didn't know that because I went back inside and she turned the lights off, because who would have thought you would turn the lights off after someone knocks on your window at 3 a.m. And then I slept in the lobby, and then Jessie came out and let me into my room at 7 o'clock when she walked her dog. So, like, sometimes that happens. But if you leave your room with your phone, you can text your other RAs and say, hey fam, I messed up. Please help a bro out.
Do you want to introduce yourself really quick since you jumped in on this?
Sorry, I'm Matthew. I'm an RA in Potomac. Duty call.
This is Lulu.
I hate you. We had that prank set up. So that's what it looks like.
That's the nice little ringtone that you get to hear in the middle of the morning.
Oh yeah, 3 a.m. That's the best wake up call. Like, yeah, I've earned this now.
But it does wake you up.
Yeah, that wakes you, and it hits you in your dreams first.
Oh,
Yes,
stop.
yes, it
Yeah, you'll
does.
start to dream about it too. You like hear it like in the middle
You
of
get
the
the
night. You'll be like,
phantom rings in your sleep. You're just like, okay, this is fine. And then in the middle of the night, you're like, oh, that's a resident. And then you're like, aha, oh, you locked yourself out. Okay, I'll be there soon. Like,
you should see all the RAs when we're in training and we have like 30 of them, and then one of the alarms goes off and all of them are like
Literally.
all flinch at the same time. It's an awful Pavlovian effect. So.
oh.
Does each phone have the same ringtone?
Yeah, all of them do.
And you're not allowed to change it?
No.
And it's always on. Right now,
I asked. I got an instant no.
it's always on, always charged. This is at 92%. So,
It never dies.
there's no chance of it dying. I could throw this right now and it will still be alive. Like, this is an indestructible phone.
Does the phone still like glitch? I remember one time when I first got here, I remember calling and just it ringing and ringing.
They
And then
probably-
that's
I mean,
why
it was
I
probably
Didn't
forwarded.
answer it.
No, but like it never popped up on the phone though.
Oh, interesting.
So
I
like,
don't know.
is that like a normal glitch type thing?
Doesn't
No.
happen often.
We'll chalk
It
that
Okay.
as
does
a
not
scam.
happen often.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah.
Did your GPA affect you being an RA?
So you do have to have a minimum. I believe it's what, a 2.8.
It was 2.5.
I thought it was 3.0.
Okay.
We're all on different pages.
Oh, 275.
2.75.
Yeah.
There we go. Close.
But in another aspect, I don't think any of us have ever had a problem balancing being an RA and our academics. So I've actually experienced GPA growth with being an RA because of the more discipline. So I budget my time better.
Yeah, like, I took 23 credits last semester, and whenever I had to do desk duty, I would be doing my homework while I was sitting desk, because that's just an allotted time where you're sitting there doing nothing. So
For 2 hours.
desk and homework, like, it's easy. Also, if you're a DA, that's also a beautiful time to do homework. Like, you always have, like, Res Life has these weird ways of, like, allowing you beautiful time slots of just, like, homework. Like, when you have to stay up and be on duty, like, after a round, and you're like, I have an hour to kill, you're like, that's an hour of reading I can do. Or, like, it's pretty easy to, like, maintain doing homework at the same time as a RA position, and, like, it's honestly healthier. Like, I don't know what else I'd be doing with that hour of my life, TBH. Like, I'd probably just be sitting there.
You guys
Like,
have any,
so, yeah.
any questions about like I know you guys hear rounds and like desk duty. So if you're on duty, like so tomorrow, like my day is Thursday. You have to sit desk down here from 7 to 9 so people can come pick up their mail, because we do have to process mail as RAs. It's super simple, and put people's mail in their mailboxes. So you sit down here from 7 to 9, give people their mail, answer any questions that people have as they're coming in and out. And then you do have to do rounds, which is basically walk every single floor. What is it? Like, I don't know the times. I just go and do it.
It's
4:30
I
Between
know-
9 and
7.
10.
Between like 4:30 and 7. It's between 4:30 and 7, 9 to 10,
You have a
10:30 to 11:30, and then one after 12 during the weekdays, and then it's a little different on the weekends. You have to do one after one.
You have to do a total of
Yeah. 3 on weeknights. 3 on
Yeah.
weeknights.
3 on weeknights, 4 on weekends.
And it's a little different in the traditional halls because you also have to check the bathrooms. And if like, since I'm a female and I go to the male identity bathrooms, I have to be like, all right, doing bathroom checks so that everyone in there is like aware I'm coming in.
Yeah, you gotta like use that young RA knock because like sometimes people be showering, so like you gotta be like, are you in there? And if they're showering, just like you don't gotta go and just be like, is everything okay? And like the people in there will let you know, yeah, we're fine. You don't gotta like intrude on us. And we're like, cool. Then just continue on your merry way.
So is it the it's the mandatory RA on duty, not the secondary that does the rounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, your secondary is essentially like just backup for like if there's a call that you don't feel comfortable answering, or sometimes like even if you just have a question like, hey, like how do I handle this? Like this is messed up. That's really what your secondary is there for.
Okay. And also if you're like dealing with like say there's a party or something going on and you just need a second pair of eyes just so it's just like pretty much just for your protection and your safety, like just so that like residents, like if something were to happen, there'd just be an extra set of eyes just playing it safe. So
like if there's an instance where it's an awkward question, but like if there's like an instance where the RA, like if like say if I like potentially get the RA position next year, and like what if I were to get like harassed from a resident? How do you guys handle that?
So there is
If you are ever in a like, you are our priority. Okay. You are not. We do not ask any of our RAs to put themselves in situations that they could get hurt or physically attacked, whatever it may be, mentally upset. Like if they need to back away from the situation, then they need to back away. That's why you have us as supervisors. Like I said, we also are on call. So if I were to get a call right now, I would have to leave.
Okay.
So if my RA says, hey, there's this person in whatever hall that, you know, I told to turn down the music, and they came at me and just slammed the door in my face, or are chasing me, or whatever. That's an extreme. That has
Okay.
But
I just wanted to bring it up to be like aware of what was going on if nobody else had the question.
You call for backup, you call for us. And if someone is actually trying to harm somebody, you're calling 911, you're calling SUPD anyway.
Okay.
Because if we were to arrive on the scene, we were gonna be gone.
Yeah.
If they're just being combative in the sense that they're not listening, you can call backup RA, you can call the HD on call. And we're, you know, the next level. Like everything is tiered. We have someone above us that we call.
Okay.
If there's a situation that's above our thing, so it's all tiered. So every person has someone to back them up.
Okay, I just wanted to. I know that situations happen, so I was just like wondering how it
feel. Yeah. Feel free to always like also like defend yourself. Like just because you're an RA doesn't mean that you're not a human being. So. Like, don't be afraid that if somebody is, like, trying to, like, this will never happen, I promise you.
Yeah,
But, like, if someone is trying to, like, fight you, like, they come up and they, like, literally punch you in the face, don't just, like, sit there and take it. Like, just because you're an RA, you're still a human being. Like, you still need to defend yourself just like you would any day, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
With issues of like, disrespect or insubordination, usually as soon as you're like, hey, if you're not gonna work with me, I'm gonna call EHD or call residents are aware of who HDs are and what their job is. Usually as soon as you're like, I'm gonna call EHD, they're like, whoa, hold up, because residents know that as soon as an HD arrives on a situation, that there is gonna be some kind of consequence.
Okay.
An escalation. Yeah. It's escalating by having us show up.
Okay.
I know, like, it is, too, also, like, a big responsibility, feeling like you have to, like, call SUPD or, like, have to call 911. But, like, those are such rare instances. Like, probably the most frequent calls to SUPD are going to be, like, if fire alarms go off.
Okay.
And that's, like, it's all just, like, it's scary at first, but once you get it down, you get the first call done, you're, like, completely comfortable, so.
They're super supportive.
They are really cool.
Yeah, I'm best friends with like all of them. They all know my name. I get frequently asked how the music department is by random ones as they drive by and roll down their windows. Like, it's It's pretty awesome.
Shout out to Dave.
Yeah.
The cops know Matt's name.
Shout out to Duke. Duke's a little pup.
I haven't met Duke.
Shout out to Duke.
Any other questions, like, about anything?
Anything you're concerned about, you want to voice, maybe RAs
You
can
guys are
address.
scared? Yeah.
Because well, we were also RAs before HDs, and sometimes where I was like, oh crap. Like, anything?
I'm trying to think about if we touched on everything. What are some of the things as an RA you cannot do? Like something that we should look out for, like just things in general. Like in our personal lives, since we have the title of if we would have the title of an RA, what is inappropriate that you guys don't or shouldn't be doing versus what is appropriate and so on?
So the biggest thing that comes to my mind when you ask that question is you can't really talk about incidents that happen outside of your staff, and if there's something, God forbid, like a Title IX situation, you don't talk to anyone about that except for the person who is involved.
And the HD.
Yeah, in the HD. So the biggest thing with that is like you have to be confidential. Like if you get a call about something crazy, like you can't go up to a resident that you're friends with and be like, "Yo, this happened last night."
Right.
That's big no.
I would say the biggest thing with that question, when you're selected as an RA, there's an entire contract that you agree to, and it has all of your stipulations set out in that. But just like if you were joining a club or an organization or applying for a job, just represent yourself in the best way that you know how, and that will get you very far, and it will set you up for success, and you won't have anything to worry about.
An RA is held to the same standard as any of our residents on campus, so policies still apply. But the added layer to that is if you break a policy, there's a discussion of job action. So not only do you have the consequences of the policy violation, you have the consequences. How does that reflect on you being able to perform as an RA? So you're held to the same standard, except you're also a role model. So we have to be aware of how your actions could be perceived by your residents, and if necessary, take action.
Okay, I'll step in as well. You will make mistakes. Facts will happen. I make mistakes like on the daily, and I supervise RAs, so we have a lot of grace with that. It is a job where you're going to learn a lot. You're going to experience some difficult situations. You're going to, like I said, you learn on the job. You'll go through training, and we're pretty thorough with what we educate you all on like incidents and protocol, but it's okay to make mistakes as long as you just learn from them and grow, and they're not like intentionally like malicious, which like any of y'all are gonna do that. But yeah.
You also have to think about as well that like your Rambler has more accesses more points than just a regular resident's Rambler. So we do our Rambler does get us into the mailroom, into the RA office, into emergency, in and out of emergency exits, so it's really important that we have a bigger responsibility of not losing our Rambler, because that could be bad. Also when you are on duty, you do have the master, you have the master key, which gets you into every single room, and so that's a huge responsibility. So yeah, just understanding that you do have that in your possession, and that you cannot don't lose that.
As you're talking about it, I'm gripping my card right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna sound kind of cheesy, but it's kind of like with more privilege, with more responsibility, and with more kind of power, so to speak, comes that responsibility of yeah, exactly. I had to do this Spider-Man.
I was gonna say grossly misquoted Spider-Man.
You know what? I was trying to be original.
Okay.
All right, I think I don't want to. If we probably have time for one or two more questions, if anyone has anything. Okay.
If there's none, I do want to ask, where are my introverts in the room?
I was.
Kinda. Also, we do need introverts in this job. Extroverts, love y'all. Y'all are coming in and be like, shh, what's up? All right. introverts. I'm an introvert. We do need introverts on our teams. Introverts bring a lot to our teams as well. So if you're an introvert and you're like, oh, I'm not like, out here screaming, like, don't like about parties and stuff, that's okay. We need y'all. So don't be intimidated if you're like, oh, I'm not like super, super outgoing. That's okay. Still apply, please.
Yes.
Sometimes it's fun not having an energy level of 150.
You would not know that. Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Last question.
I have a quick question for both of you guys. With the application process, and say your GPA isn't 2.75 as you stated, is there still a chance you are able to get accepted as an RA?
So, for the coming fall, so let me just back up, do the broad process, right? So I can go through the whole application process as quick as I can and as thoroughly and clearly. So you all, if you haven't already, the new RA application is due not this Friday, but next Friday, through RAMPulse. So you have to go to the Residence Life page, and under Residence Life forms, there's the new RA application. You fill that out, then it gets processed by Corey and I up at the main office, and then you'll be contacted by one of the HDs to set up an interview. After the interviews are over, we have a group process on February 16th from 3 to 6. It's about 3 to 4 hours. And that's when everybody who has applied for the new RA position will come together. We have some more activities and things for you all to do. I can't give you anything more than that. Otherwise it ruins it. No. But yeah, so there's 2 processes. You have your interview and you have group process. Now we take into account your GPA. In order to start as an RA, you do need to have that GPA. It is a requirement. However, we are only at the time of selection, which happens end of February, beginning of March. We only have your current, as of fall 2019 grades. If so, we do selection based off that, but we do have something called an alternate pool. So anyone who we think would be a good RA, but maybe doesn't have the current GPA, or just we didn't have space for them because we only have 35-ish spaces for RAs. And last year we had, with returning and new applicants, we had 80 applications to go through. So, yeah, so there's going to obviously be people who unfortunately we can't offer a job to, right? So we have something called the alternate pool, because we do selection, people either deny or accept the role, and we do have people who decide, actually, I can't because I'm changing my major, or I just realized I'm an education major and I'm going to be going into my student teaching, and I just maybe don't want to do it right now, or I just don't feel confident that this is the right fit for me, or I found a place, or I'm moving off campus for my last year. Various reasons why somebody might deny the role. Then we go back to our alternate pool and we fill. So that happens over the summer. We have somebody who accepted maybe in April and then denies in June. We have to find somebody to replace that person. So then we go back, update GPAs, and we might pool somebody who maybe didn't qualify.
That's actually how I got hired.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was put in the alternate pool, and over the summer I got a call saying, hey, we have a spot open. I was like, great. Love to be one.
I didn't mean to cut you off. But do majors coincide with conflicting with the RA job?
We do not turn anyone away based on their major.
Okay.
That is all up to you all. I'm getting. You will speak, Matthew. Don't worry. I will say there are some majors that might be a little bit more of a difficult process, in the same way that you add being a part of 5 or 6 organizations, or being an athlete on campus. It's another added layer.
Okay.
So for someone someone who's maybe part of the music department and has to take 23 credits in this semester, that doesn't necessarily deter us. We don't turn anyone away because of that. That's a decision that you can personally make.
Okay, I just didn't know because, like you said, education. I was like, oh.
Yeah, well,
great.
I was an example because we've had people before we've decided, like, I really want to focus on
Right,
doing
right.
my student teaching.
I just wanted to make sure. I was like,
No, you can still do it. It's still possible. It's just a little bit more of a game. You may go, Matthew.
I'm music ed, so like I have rehearsals all night that happen to be during desk hours. Like I'm currently in the musical #Go See Your Young Man Charlie Brown, and then like, but the rehearsal times are from 6:30 every night to 9:30 every night, which is literally desk hours. So
Right.
like I have to help find coverage, and Danielle has graciously offered to like help me out with that aspect. And like last semester when I was having difficult with like all my class schedules being like I have to be at schools in the morning right after I hand in the duty phone, or when I have to have my voice lessons and other stuff, like other artists would be like, oh hey, I'll help you out with the mail because I know that you're busy today. And I'm like, y'all are the real OGs in life. Like they're
We're always here for each other.
Like literally always back up, always there to help each other out whenever you need stuff. And if you have like a duty weekend and I have concert weekends, then I'll just be like, I can't work that weekend, and you tell them ahead of time, and you can just work around it. It's super easy for that.
One quick question. What happens if by any chance there is an RA selected that you might not get along with, or every other RA except for one don't get along with? Like, how would that go about?
Put those feelings from up in the balls, throw them aside.
Yeah. You gotta smile and nod.
So kind of like we've all said, like the RA position is a job, and I can tell you as someone who's experienced a bit of like being a little bit older than these guys, part of being employed, part of having a job is that you may have to work with people that you don't necessarily like. And that doesn't mean that they're not gonna have, like, just because like you don't like them or they don't personally like you doesn't mean like that they're not gonna have your back. Like in that aspect, like we're all still professional, we all still have each other's backs. But you sort of have to put those personal feelings aside and just be like, okay, buddy, this is about the work.
We HDs will also kind of help with that process. So like if y'all are just really like button heads, can't get along, we will walk you through that process. We'll help with that conflict management, and it'll happen. You're gonna have an incident where you and RA don't agree on something or a way to do something. It happens. I think we put it perfectly though. You won't, work with everyone you meet, or you won't be best friends with everyone you meet, but we expect you all to at least work together. So it'll be all right. Don't worry.
So, unless anyone else has any other questions for our volunteers here, because they did volunteer, so they did come, or were voluntold.
How was that?
No,
I was right there.
This is the kind of things you would get to do as an RA. You get to really make a difference and really help people out and make an impact on people's lives. And it's actually really fun to do with everyone on the RA staff. I really enjoyed my time. I'll be graduating, so I'll be gone. So this is my last semester, yeah. So
I'm gonna miss you, Jess.
This is a really cool department to work for, and we really keep you all as one of our priorities. Our RAs are very important to us, and I would love for each and every one of you to put in an application. I would love to see you during interviews and at group process, and hopefully there'll be a job for you. So that concludes our info session. Talk to your RAs if you have further questions. Like they all live right around you, right? So reach out to them. Say, hey, I was at this info session. I didn't think of this question now. I thought of it later. Ask them, because this is only 4 representations of what the RA role is. Or 5, sorry, Christina. 5 represent. Oh, 6. That's right. So, but there's so many other people who have a different insight, and we have a couple of RAs on our staff currently that have been doing this for now the 3rd year. So lots of different experiences, lots of different buildings. So take the time to ask your RAs if you have any more questions. And thank you all for coming out tonight.
Don't dread the interviews; they're actually kind of fun.
Also, don't forget, applications are due on the 24th, so get them in. You can find them on Rampulse and your Residence Life page. So do that.
And if you have questions about filling it out, again, track down your RAs. They also have filled the same or almost same application out, so they can help you find it. if you need any help. All right, thank you to our wonderful RAs and to our camera woman, Christina. Check out Ramparts for the application, and thank you all for coming.
If you all have any questions, you just want to come talk to us like you did when